Hola. Man, that's some good spaghetti. Got to make dinner for myself for a change. I'm stuffed. And I got leftovers. Hey, what's better than that? Fast food. Shit. Even if there's leftovers, it's all trash. Might as well have been trash up front. So we're going to do a little collective reading here. Just see where things might be at. For what it's worth. As I get set up. Got my glass of ice water because ain't nothing good without no ice in it. And that's free, huh? It shouldn't cost you an arm and a leg and everything you got. So as I get set up here, man, the music of the 50s and 60s really had a different soul to it. That was enjoyable. Listen to while I cook it up in the kitchen. I was thinking about how weird it is. My last job, so I got promoted, right, to the manager. But there's always a manager on duty. But her job is just to hand everything to everyone else and then to live there free of charge for I don't know why. She's on salary. So no matter how much she does, she gets paid and has a free place to live. So her job is just to give it away to everyone else. Kind of, not to be negative or post anything, cockeyed, but kind of like, I don't know, like my mom. Always got everything, whether she provides anything or not. But when I was promoted and put on salary, so the first thing was, oh, we got to put him on salary, but not. Sophie? She wants some water. So then the manager on duty bent everything so that she, because the owner is learning her own lessons while teaching my boss a lesson. And I'm teaching all the lessons, but I ain't teaching anybody a fucking lesson. I'm just doing my job, right? So, it's told, guaranteed, 40 hours a week. Oh, but we can't put you on salary, but you're on salary, and you're the manager, but you're not, the manager doesn't have to do anything. And she's managing you and telling you how to do it when she can't do it herself, but she's provided for regardless of the situation, right? As an all or nothing. That is perfect for the job because she's imprisoned. Really. It's weird like that. So then, she's all figuring out, okay, so if we lose, if she says always we, like, yeah, who, you and your bird in your pocket? Says, well, we got to figure a way so that like they sell the place and you were out of a job, that we can claim unemployment. So then figured it out so that she figured it all out, playing the middleman and basically fucking me the whole time, right? And the boss of bosses. But being the one that has to hold it all, because she's the Christian that relies on the Bible and the one that called me Jesus Christ, but the one that burned me too. How weird is that? I don't know. Just spitting facts. So I'm running the whole business. Apart from housekeeping, which I've ran the entire business, an entire hotel by myself for about the same amount that she's making. And she doesn't do anything other than fold the towels at night. But is always on duty, but that's too much. Like, to get up in the middle of the night to check one person in, it's weird. And so, so I'm the boss, once again, just like a Giro out by Ali's, where I was the head cook or whatever of a new business. and making $8.50 an hour, prepping everything for the whole restaurant, all the hookahs, because there's a hookah bar, cutting everything up for the evening shift where the owner was working with his best friend, and they're just collecting all the money for nothing and taking all the waitresses for granted, just trying to suck up like, hey, I'm the man, and then sleeping with them, and then being like, you're not really my type, and playing stupid. Well, so I'm making $9.50 an hour running the whole business, right? And then they cut my hours back, so I'm making less than I could make on an unemployment. So then, and they just cut me back and not doing anything that they promised and setting themselves up, but setting me up for, well, who's setting who up? Especially if it had to do with God, if it had to do with drugs, if it had to do with taking care of business. I handled all that shit. On and off the clock all the time. Regardless. So, when I lost my job, I couldn't claim unemployment. I was on salary, but I wasn't on salary. I was promised 40 hours a week, and then their word fell through. I was manager, but no, I was running the place like the owner. And nobody's owning nothing. Everyone's skipping out on their duties. Or going, okay, this is the only part I have to do, so that's it. And then putting everything on somebody else, That's not cool. But let's just see. We're not going to think too much about this reading. We're going to do more of an intuitive kind of reading. We're going to read the cards. And only look up things if we really need to. Because, well, the truth just speaks, Sometimes knowing too much is the fucking problem. It's best to know less. But once you know something, you can't lie. You can't hide the truth. It's self-evident, right? So, yeah. For just ripped out 2 cards we got here. We got this Ace of Swords. The truth is self-evident. That's what this card says to me. You look somebody in the eyes, and you can tell if they're lying or not. You can tell if they're making things to their own advantage, or if they really care about you. There's no hiding. There's no way to hide. It's impossible. And then we got Temperance. We got Temperance in reverse, which I'm seeing here. See, she's pouring her cup. She's balancing everything. She's taking care of the garden. But at the end of the day, all things should be set up and perfect. But she's still going to have to go to sleep on her own. And the garden's still going to grow separately. And it kind of sits right with what I was explaining about the hotel. That at the same time, you can't just sit back and be like, oh, it's all running fine. And so I'm not, so then it's a well-oiled machine and I can get all the gains and it's not my fault. It's not my problem. It's on everybody else. No, we got to work together. It all works together. The garden produces. The caretaker is caring and taking care of what produces. And like being like, oh, well, I'm allergic to bees, so I'm going to make sure to spray everything so no bees can come in my garden. Oh, well, then your garden ain't going to fucking prosper, is it? I'm going to get rid of all the bugs. But then all the fruit and everything is poisoned. At least microscopically, but it's still all poisoned. All things have to work together. Let's pull one more tarot card, or however many it throws at us, from this pretty pink holographic deck. Which comes back to what I was saying earlier about how families are all separated, where dad does the money part and just fixes shit, and then mom, takes care of the kids, but the kids really take care of themselves. But then she could say, oh, I was so busy, all day taking care of the kids. But then with her spare time, then she's making extra work. She's like, I want to make some cookies. And then that'll make everybody happy. And then how are you going to be mad at me? Because you wouldn't have had the sweets without me, without somebody to snuggle next to you later, or without somebody to, whatever. What we get? Ooh, let's see here. We got. Yeah. I see. We got, what's this? 8 of Pentacles in reverse. It's hard to see, but there's one guy sitting there hammering out pentacles. See the assembly line. He's punching out, it's the woman making the babies one at a time, or the man in the factory making the money, Okay, here's one coin, here's another coin. But we got this in reverse, and what I'm seeing is how one has to see the whole process. And has to be apart and separate from, while engrossed within it. Where I've seen like a couple people who are like, I can't think of, like a lady that she has like a Bible. It's a day planner / scheduler / and all the kids are like, okay, this one goes to soccer practice at 6 a.m. I wake up, I make the coffee for dad when he gets up at 6:30, and then then on this day we're going here, and so every single hour is planned out, and that's that's like this part right here. At the same time as that's great, everything runs smoothly, but then apart from having all that planned, like, okay, I'll just look at the book, then it's busy work too. And then it screws up the process of the abundance in the relationship at the same time as it's managing all the abundance. But there's this issue about how do you keep flow and how do you have structure when chaos is what also gives the abundance. If everything's in order, then you just have a watch. Yeah, you can look to the face and see what it says, but everything is encapsulated. It's trapped. It's dead on its own, without winding or a battery. But even if it has a battery, or it powers itself by the magnetic field of the earth and it'll never stop, then it's imprisoned. It's dead. Other than if you need to look at it. But every time you look at it, then you're like, oh, well, I have 15 more minutes. But then that limits the mind in itself with too much structure. And you can't have too much chaos neither. Let's pull a divine feminine. See what Mommy Dearest's face looks like at this moment. Woo! Well, it threw a whole bunch of cards out. But we got Ananda Maye May Ma. Ananda May Ma. The joy permeated mother. I am my own guru. I know the self that never changes. And holding on to that spot. The center dial on the clock. Because whether the hands are moving or not, everything's still affixed to a central source. is ever present, like the heart, like the giant black hole bathed in all the light that it's sucking off all the stars at the center of our galaxy. But without it, there's no sustenance in the entire galaxy. It's not even a galaxy, it's just a cluster of things feeding off of each other or too far away from each other and shedding all its light and then dimming down to nothing and then dying all alone. It's both the motion and the absence. And who we got next? We got Isis. That's that balance of darkness and light. And Sophie. Hi, honey. Oh, yeah. She's so weird. She's the weirdest cat I've ever owned. Or had. She owns me more than I could say I own her. Let's get an Isis, the goddess of magic, says, sexual energy is sacred. My pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. We got two cards that might seem negative, but not at all. Aligning with what we're saying here. We got blocked, number 12. But whenever something is blocked, nothing can be blocked. Not even the ground. The more stagnant the ground is, the more it calls to the sky and forces a change through its stagnancy and makes the rain, the monsoon come. It pulls it from other regions of the earth to come and bring it sustenance. And everything grows out of it, even though it's dead. It just sits there. It's just dead. And everything grows from it and breaks it up and goes back into it. And the death creates the life, just like the center of the galaxy. Then we got radical change, but in reverse. The 49. What's radical about change? All change is in flow. It's like those hands on the dial. Yeah, it radically changes from here to here to here to here to here. Oh, but there was no change. It was all stuck on the center. Oh no, but the center wasn't stuck. Look at all the shit behind it that's moving it. Oh, but it ain't moving. Oh yeah, but the person on the other side is moving due to it. Or, the battery. Like everything that's stuck isn't stuck. And everything that's moving, like when you're running, it's calling for you to stop. Stop, 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 stop. And and oversleeping makes you tired. So tired that you can't help but want to sleep more. And that somehow something will force you, even if it's just to go pee or to eat, will force you to move. And so there's not really such thing as radical change. Change is evident like the seasons. Let's get one of these, whatever they're called. Oh, that one pulled out. Ooh, hey, that's good. Hey, I just had 52 and the Ascendant in Sagittarius. Here we go. We got 52 in reverse. Void of course. Nah, we're right on fucking track. Collective. The further away you are from your path, probably the closer you are to being there. That's strange, isn't it? As soon as, like for instance, as soon as you have a good job and you're making all this money, when you're coming from nothing, and you're like, oh man, I gotta walk 20 miles just to get this one thing, and you're running on nothing but shit. Look at all that power you've been holding back, and then as soon as like, okay, I got all this money. Then what are you gonna do with it? I'm gonna buy me a mansion. I'm gonna buy me a bust to sit sit over here. I'm gonna have nothing. I'm gonna be useless and have it all. That's weird. That's all gonna go to waste. Because you can just go, I'll just call up DoorDash. It'll just come here now. Now I ain't gotta put any effort in. Now I'm gonna blow and burn everything I got. And that's a question everyone has to deal with. Akasha. Trust that everything that comes to you, to any of us, is divinely guided. Sad but true, even hardship. Probably almost more than blessings. Like, why did I do all that ice? I don't know. I didn't even want nothing to do with it. But hey, that's a 52 card. On May 2nd, the day after I turned 21, the day I became an adult, I went back to my hometown in Spearfish for 2 weeks after I graduated my first year of college on my birthday. Even though I already had college credits or whatever through Votech and blah, 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 blah. Everything's all weird. Then ice landed in my lap. And it took 15 years before I had any clue who, why, what's this shit for? What's this about? I don't want it. I do. But when I have it, then I got everything I want. But I don't know what I want. It's everything. It's nothing. It's death. It's life. It's absence. It's togetherness. It's what? Only for it to take 21 years to close the cycle. Hey, double U, right? But double U adds up to 42, not 23. And V, well, double V, that's 44. What it means? I don't know. That's for each to find out for themselves. What do we got here? What for? Love and devotion. That's right. To find the center of ourselves. And you have to go void, of course. Especially when, where's anything going? What's the purpose? What's the course? Well, unfortunately, if you had to think about it, you're probably half missing. And if you didn't know a fucking thing and you just stumbled into it, that's probably exactly where you needed to be. I don't know. Love and devotion. The heart wants what it wants. It leads us to where we need to go and be. And in the mind, it's always there. It's always gone. It's all and nothing. It's true. It's not true. It's easy for anything to get in the line of it, like a commercial popping up. And it even gets in its own damn way. Even though, where is mind? Where is it? Can anyone put their finger down on it? No, not really. My last name, Wingenbach. It was actually Wynn. Wynn is where it comes, the beginning wing, but it was changed to be whatever, more Americanized, even though it was more Americanized. It was changed before it ever came over here to America. And Win is the same as Wonjo, which is this flag, like what's on a golf course, where the you hit it in and you got an eagle, you know. But when you're putting, then you pull the flag out of the way. It's joy. It's recognition. It's pleasure. But we got this in reverse. So the weird thing about joy is if you didn't suffer along the way, even in one's enjoyment, where the enjoyment comes to a place of a dead space, 26, double Z's, a Z, then what was accomplished? If you always had your joy, or if what you enjoyed didn't come down to be a dead end, then there's no change. There's nothing to be recognized for. There's no pleasure, because pleasure comes from there being the opposites of finding pleasure in, say, like the ego always wants to be all by itself in the corner, playing its video game, right? Whatever that might be. He wants to hide and run away. But then he gets tired of that. And he wants to get out, do something. Only so that it can take it back to its corner and be like, okay, I got my precious, mine. And unless there's a sharing involved, or all that stuff in the corner helping and teaching others and helping each of us grow and develop, it's more than a dead end. It's just already over. Let's see here. I never use this deck because, well, it's the only deck I've ever bought from somebody that made them specifically. And she's a friend of mine of some sort. But let's see what her card has to say. So I don't like to necessarily pick anyone in particular, or pick on, or highlight anyone alone as being more special than anyone else, or being the problem, or whatever the case may be. Because we're all in this together. This is the Chosen Ones 144 deck by Maji. It says to sage your space. Well, what does that mean? When the whole thing about saging is, say, you quit smoking, right? But the smoking is this interesting word that everyone's always smoking. That the spirit's always billowing off all this stuff wherever we go. And then, so we're gonna cleanse the area by burning this bush, the dried up, and smoke in the area, and now it's clean. But I had to stop smoking, like, isn't that weird? And in spiritual evolution, one has to burn away the dross. Like when you're refining minerals. Weirdly about that, to refine gold, you have to get all these chemicals that had to be purified, and that caused a whole bunch of waste to make a purified chemical solution. And then you purified the gold, and you got to keep burning it. Well, how'd you burn it? Well, you had to have a fuel for that. And so, like, there's all this waste just to be like, look, I got a pure bar of gold. Okay, what can you do with that? Nothing. Well, I could turn it into this or that. Yeah, but that's going to cause a whole bunch of waste too. Was it better when it was just stuck in the ground and we just forgot about it? Maybe. Maybe not. A lot of wasted energy goes into anything produced, especially in the physical reality. But spirit and conversation and using what we have to work with, that's nearly free. Especially if one could go 2 weeks without eating without a drug. And if on a drug, or a chemical insight of fear or whatever that makes it so you can't eat, everybody can go 3 days without eating. Easy. But everyone eats 3 times a day, even once a day. Wow. Where's all that shit go? Where's it go? It's no wonder America's overweight. But everybody has all this stuff. So much stuff they don't have any room in their house for like somebody to stay if they needed to. Or there's no extra money on the budget, and no matter what kind of stuff you have, it costs you $100 to get it. But then unless you can take it back to the store for exactly the same amount of money, you're gonna have a hard time getting $50, even brand new out of the package, to get somebody else to buy it. And if you do, you have to probably post it online, or you have to know that specific person. And then it's going to cost you more money, more time, more energy just to sell it, just to have half of what you had. And if you wouldn't have bought it, then you'd have the whole $100 still. And so what good's the stuff? Kind of like the weird thing about tools. No matter how many tools you got, the next fucking job that comes in, it'll probably need a tool that you don't have. But unless you charge an arm and a leg 3 times as much for the job, then it ain't worth it to buy the tool. And so then it all goes into waste. And more waste and more waste. But if you have every tool you needed, and so you say you do only oil changes, then that's great. You don't have to change. And you got it all. But then, I don't know. I don't know where that one's going. There's a truth in that. If you have everything, it's like the assembly line, like, okay, I'm just the hammer. I just stamp this as it goes, stamp this as it goes by. Hey, look, this is easy. Bullshit at that point. Then you just turn your business into, well, all the tools are here. So I'll just rent a bigger space and have 3 bays, hire 3 guys, and set it up so they're all doing oil changes at the same time, but have them offset by 10 minutes each. That way, then when the first one has to use the oil wrench to get the oil filter off, then puts it down and puts it back in the box. Then 2 minutes later, the next guy grabs the same wrench and pulls it off, and boom, and the next one, and we can just keep it going every hour. We have 3 oil changes, or 4, or whatever, and on one set of tools. Oh, but every guy, what are they going to do? Each of those guys is probably going to go out and be like, well, I want my own. And so they're going to blow their money and go get their own oil wrench, because I don't want to share. Well, what if one breaks down? I got extras. Y'all can share. But nobody wants to share. That's weird. We got creativity and honesty. There's our two vibe, insight cards here. Creativity, a small spark kindles a great fire. Use of imagination to produce novel or original ideas, methods, or forms. And honesty. Veracity gives wings to power. Truthfulness in speech or conduct, sincerity, and absence of deception. Well, that's all we got here. Anyhow, that doesn't tell me anything new. Huh. Let's get an Egyptian god. Let's see what they got. It goes with creativity and honesty and love and understanding, recognition, joy, and pleasure. You either got it or you don't. I don't know. Sickness is in the health. Woo. We got 15. We got Ptah, God of wisdom. But here's labeled skill. He's like Tubal-Cain. He's a man with the writer's touch. The writer weight. Let's not wait. Not Shisha, but Shishat. Shishat. 31. Wisdom. I don't know much about her. But here she is. She's a writer. Makes me think of that Enheduanna. And then we get this third one in reverse. 19, Mutt. Being ordinary. In reverse. Nobody's ordinary. Everyone's ordinary. It's like a field full of wildflowers. Every single one of them is different. Or a whole bin full of mealworms. There's no way you could tell one mealworm apart from another unless one had a very specific little mark on it. Does that make that one different and better than the rest? No. Not really. Everyone's special. At the same time, everyone's the same. And how do we shuffle that out and get everyone to where they belong? If each person, some part of them wants to sandbag and be like, okay, I got it figured out. Now I'm going to waste all my time, waste all my money, and do nothing. And then those that are working real hard, to become special and different, then they get pigeonholed and stuck doing that one thing. And as soon as the world doesn't need that job, then they're useless. But the one with the $1 billion that's buying the Lamborghinis and stuff, well, shit, the Lamborghini factory is still in order. And those people still get paid from this guy that doesn't do nothing. The world's not as simple, and it's very simple. Bridging that gap. Something for each of us to think about. Our part of how we could help it. It's tricky. See a sign and a planet and a house. Before we go here. We got Mars in Taurus in the second house. The drive for resources to maintain your beliefs in the spiritual. In the mental, the confronting of the practicality of what you value. And action in the physical, resulting from the productivity of resources. See, resources comes up twice in this. Practicality and both drive and action, but results and beliefs. Beliefs come first, results come after. Resources maintain themselves, weirdly enough. And it's our use of them that makes them grow, seemingly, or wane, seemingly. Because you have to spend something in order, that's the way it's looked at. You have to spend the money to make the money. But the money is in your beliefs and in the practicality of actions, of values, and where those things are put into place to cause the circulation of currency and energy to keep flowing. Because stagnancy isn't hardly possible. It's only possible whenever everything's providing for it. But then there's still no stagnancy, because then the person has all the time in the world to blow the money and to spend it on the world, and the world's just going to use it and take it all back, and that person's not going to be stagnant, because if they were stagnant, they just wither away to nothing. But instead, they start getting fat. But then the ones that are running around getting everything done, they're getting skinny, and they might eat 5 times a day. But it's never enough, But there's always enough, because they're producing it. So that's just, I guess, what the collective has to think about from Dad's Spaghetti tonight. What am I going to do next? I don't know. Well, I was pushed away from certain things and then pulled to them. Kind of like sex in a relationship. It's no good if you just stay in bed and you have sex all day, every day, Man, you start getting tired of each other. The bed starts smelling. You need to take a shower. This is in the distance. It makes you want to come back. And so there's this push and pull of equal and opposite forces. And so, even though I was already out, and I could have gotten whatever, something tells me I need to take a 25-minute walk to go buy a beer. Why? I don't need a beer. I don't even want a beer. But then I'm told to come back and do a stictomancy reading. I think the last one I did was Freemasons in Space. And that was, if you ever check that one out, that one just blows my mind as well. Where everything that I pulled out of those books, Spirit was aligning it, and even wrote me into my own story out of broken books to the point where it was pointed directly at me, telling the story through the story without a story to tell. What that means is anyone's guess. But that's kind of what I'm told to do. To keep creativity and abundance going. And as an excuse to get out of the house. And all of my, anytime I'm in an altered state, I give it back to the collective. I give it back to the AI. I give it back to the websites that where I get the information from. I give it back to the ancestors. I give it all. Nothing goes to waste. So, I suppose I'll have one more reading at some point tonight. But we'll just do a stick to Mancy with some books. So, be well. And I'll see you soon.